Thank you, Ms. Dillon. Give your opening statement.
Good afternoon, Chairman Schmidt, Ranking Member Welch, and other distinguished members of the subcommittee. I am honored to testify on ending illegal racial discrimination and preferences through vigorous enforcement of our federal civil rights laws. I look forward to working with all of you to ensure that we successfully dismantle all forms of invidious racial discrimination from our society.
Welcome back to America First, Patriots. I'm your host, and if you're new here, make sure to smash that like button and hit subscribe because we're bringing you the unfiltered truth about what's happening in our great nation. Today, we're reacting some absolutely incredible testimony that shows the Trump administration is finally taking decisive action against a discriminatory DEI agenda that has infected our institutions.
On January 21st, President Trump signed Executive Order 14173, titled Ending Illegal Discrimination and Restoring Merit-Based Opportunity. The executive order stated that race and sex-based preferences under the guise of so-called diversity, equity, and inclusion violate the text and spirit of our long-standing federal civil rights laws. DEI initiatives reflect a set of practices that unlawfully discriminate against, classify, exclude from participation, or deny benefits to individuals based on race, sex, or other prohibited characteristics. The order announced that it is the policy of the United States to protect the civil rights of all Americans against illegal DEI initiatives. Enforcement of that policy is now delegated to me. Just last week, I reached the milestone of my first 100 days in office, and under the leadership of Attorney General Pam Bondi, we have been busy implementing President Trump's bold agenda for ending illegal DEI for all Americans. I will highlight some of our work for you today. Here are some of the ways we have taken steps to end DEI in education. First, as a result of multifaceted investigations into illegal DEI-based discrimination, harassment, and abuse at major so-called elite universities and colleges, the division is now in discussions with many educational institutions to end all unlawful DEI programs throughout these schools, including in their law, medical, nursing, and other specialty disciplines. Second, we are actively investigating several prominent colleges and universities regarding rampant anti-Semitism, resulting in discussions aimed at ending anti-Semitic abuse on college campuses nationwide. Third, starting in April, we open investigations into 50 major universities, 16 top law schools, and 7 medical schools by sending letters requesting any changes to admissions processes post Students for Fair Admissions versus Harvard. We are also investigating racially discriminatory admissions practices at selective public high schools. Fourth, we are engaged in several lawsuits and investigations into Title IX discrimination against the rights and safety of women and girls in classrooms, athletic fields, dormitories, and other facilities. As a result of our efforts, several institutions have reversed course already. Fifth, we are investigating the University of California for its race and sex-based discriminatory hiring practices under UC's 2030 capacity plan. The Civil Rights Division has also acted in various employment-related matters. First, we are investigating Minnesota's hiring and employment practices. State policies appear to require agencies to engage in illegal race and sex-based hiring in violation of Title VII. Second, we are investigating the Hennepin County Attorney's Office policy that requires race-based decision-making in plea agreements. The investigation is ongoing, though that office has refused to cooperate with our investigation. Third, we're investigating Rhode Island regarding its affirmative action plan that sets race-based hiring goals across its government. In light of Rhode Island's refusal to cooperate, we're assessing our next steps under Title VII. Fourth, we're investigating Chicago's racially discriminatory hiring practices permeating its government. This is just a small fraction of the extensive portfolio of actions we have taken toward ending DEI in my first 100 days in office. Every day, my team assesses new opportunities to combat invidious racial discrimination, from diligently pursuing investigations to drafting and filing federal civil rights lawsuits. The Civil Rights Division strives to protect the civil rights of all Americans against illegal DEI initiatives. In his famous dissent in Plessy versus Ferguson, Justice John Marshall Harlan wrote that the law regards man as man and takes no account of his surrounding or of his color, when his civil rights are guaranteed by the supreme law of the land are involved. Nearly 130 years later, Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson echoed this sentiment in Ames versus Ohio Department of Youth Services, writing that the Civil Rights Act prohibits discrimination against any individual because of such individuals' race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. While the division's jurisdiction is governed by statute, we work closely with the chair of the EEOC and heads of other executive branch agencies to combat illegal DEI initiatives and to uphold the civil rights of all Americans. With these efforts underway, Senators, the goal is clear. Either DEI will end on its own, or we will kill it. I look forward to exploring ways to bolster the division's enforcement authority so that we can completely root out discrimination in all its forms. Thank you.
What we just witnessed was testimony from a Civil Rights Division official detailing the first 100 days of implementing President Trump's Executive Order 14173. This executive order is a game changer, folks. It explicitly states that race and sex-based preferences under the guise of diversity, equity, and inclusion violate our federal civil rights laws. And you know what? They're absolutely right. For decades, we've watched as DI programs have turned Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream of judging people by the content of their character upside down. Instead of creating equality, these programs have institutionalized reverse discrimination. They've created a system where your race, gender, or ethnicity matters more than your qualifications, your merit, or your character. That's not equality. That's discrimination with a progressive label slapped on it. The testimony outlined investigations into 50 major universities, 16 top law schools, and 7 medical schools. This is exactly what needed to happen after the Supreme Court students for fair admissions versus Harvard decision. The highest court in the land ruled that race-based admissions were unconstitutional, yet many of these elite institutions simply rebranded their discriminatory practices instead of ending them. They thought they could outsmart the law by using coded language and workarounds. Well, guess what? This administration isn't playing games. What really struck me was the mention of investigating anti-Semitism on college campuses. We've all seen the horrific scenes of Jewish students being harassed, intimidated, and physically threatened on campuses across America. While universities bent over backwards to accommodate every other identity group, they allowed open hatred against Jewish students to flourish. It's about time someone with authority stepped in to protect these students' civil rights. The employment investigations are equally important. Minnesota, Rhode Island, and Chicago are being investigated for race-based hiring practices that violate Title VII. Think about this for a moment. Government agencies were literally requiring discrimination based on race in their hiring processes. How is that any different from the Jim Crow-era policies we fought so hard to overcome? The only difference is who is being discriminated against. What's particularly telling is that some of these jurisdictions are refusing to cooperate with federal investigators. Rhode Island and Hennepin County are stonewalling legitimate civil rights investigations. If they have nothing to hide, why aren't they cooperating? Their resistance tells you everything you need to know about how deep this discriminatory system has become embedded in our institutions. The official quoted Justice Harlan's famous dissent in Plessy versus Ferguson, where he wrote that the law regards man as man and takes no account of his color when civil rights are involved. This is the principle America was founded on: equal treatment under the law regardless of race, religion, or background. DI programs have completely abandoned this foundational American principle. What we're seeing here is the restoration of true civil rights enforcement. For too long, civil rights laws have been twisted to justify discrimination against certain groups while protecting others. That's not justice. That's selective enforcement based on political ideology. The Civil Rights Act was designed to protect all Americans from discrimination, not to create a hierarchy of preferred racial categories. The investigation into Title IX violations is another crucial area. We've watched as biological males have been allowed to compete against female athletes, destroying opportunities for women and girls who have worked their entire lives to excel in their sports. We've seen female students lose scholarships, records, and championship opportunities to male competitors. The previous administration turned Title IX on its head, using it to undermine the very women it was designed to protect. The testimony mentioned that several institutions have already reversed course as a result of these investigations. That tells you these institutions knew their practices were legally questionable, but continued them anyway because they thought they could get away with it. They prioritize woke ideology over legal compliance and constitutional principles. This is what real leadership looks like. Instead of just talking about equality, this administration is taking concrete legal action to enforce our civil rights laws as they were written. They're not picking and choosing which Americans deserve protection based on their demographics. They're applying the law equally to everyone. The closing statement was powerful. Either DEI will end on its own or they will kill it. That's the kind of decisive language we need from our leaders. No more bureaucratic doublespeak or political hedging. These discriminatory programs are legal, they're un-American, and they need to end. We're witnessing the beginning of the end of institutional discrimination that has masqueraded as social justice for far too long. This isn't about opposing diversity or inclusion. It's about opposing illegal discrimination and restoring merit-based opportunity for all Americans regardless of their background. The fact that this testimony happened shows that elections have consequences. We elected leaders who promised to drain the swamp and restore constitutional governance. And that's exactly what we're seeing. This is why your vote matters, Patriots. This is why we can never give up fighting for the principles that made America great. What are your thoughts on this testimony? Are you encouraged by the aggressive enforcement of civil rights laws? Or do you think they should be doing even more? Let me know in the comment below. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to America First for more content defending our constitutional principles and American values. Until next time, keep fighting for America first.